Welcome to Get Your FRQ On. This question is from 2003, Form B. It's question 5, and it is not calculator active. In the question stem, we have a function f defined with a graph of line segments on the interval from 0 to 7, and we have another function g defined as a definite integral from 2 to x of f of t dt. In part A of this question, we are asked to find g of 3, g prime of 3, and g double prime of 3. G of 3, by definition, is the integral from 2 to 3 of f of t dt, which you can calculate based on the graph that turns out to be 3. By the fundamental theorem of calculus, g prime of 3 will just be f of 3, and based on the graph of f, that will be 2. And lastly, g double prime of 3 will equal f prime of 3, which you can also calculate from the graph. That is negative 2. In part B of this question, we are asked to find the average rate of change of the function g on the interval from 0 to 3. The average rate of change of g over 0 to 3 can be found by taking a quotient of differences, g of 3 minus g of 0 over 3 minus 0. So to calculate this, we take 1/3 the integral from 0 to 3 of f of t dt. That's a bunch of messy work, and it's not calculator active, so you do have to do this by hand. It does turn out to be 7/3. However, the expression 1/3 times that giant group would actually be sufficient on the AP Calculus exam because you don't need to simplify it. In part C of this question, we are asked for how many values of c between 0 and 3 exclusive is g prime of c equal to the rate we just calculated in part B, and we need to explain our answer. We need to figure out when g prime of c is equal to 7/3, and by the fundamental theorem of calculus, this means we need to know when f of c is equal to 7/3. But since we have the graph of f, we can just analyze the graph visually. There are 2 values of c on the interval from 0 to 3, such that g prime of c is equal to 7/3. Note that you are not asked to find the values of c, you are only asked to count them. If you tried finding the specific values of c, you would spend a lot of time doing something that is not necessary. Save that time for a different part. In part D of this question, we are asked to identify the x-coordinate of each point of inflection of g on the interval from 0 to 7 and to justify. So the graph of g will have a point of inflection when g double prime of x, which is equal to f prime of x, is equal to 0 and also changes sign, or at some point where f prime of x fails to exist but still changes sign. So going back to the graph of f provided, there are 2 such values, one at x equals 2, where f prime of x changes from positive to negative, and another at x equals 5, where f prime of x changes from negative to positive. If you like the AP Calculus free response question solutions and want more of them, don't forget to like the videos, subscribe to the channel, and you can also find me on X at x.com/getyourfrqon.